I want to talk about the French-American wine war for a minute.
Oh, yes.
Because there's been a lot of tariffs thrown around.
Good point.
And threats and things like that. This is a trade war I'm going to be following very closely, Greg. Now, it doesn't really affect me too much because I drink Trump wine, and tariffs don't really apply. But I know a lot of people that own vineyards, and they can't get any of their cabs sold in France because, you know, they can't compete in the marketplace. But I like how Trump is sticking up for the blue-collar workers in Sonoma Valley. These people are the hardest-working people you'll ever see. President Trump was elected not to be the president of Nice, but to be the president of Napa Valley. And these Napa Valley cabs, they can't compete in Paris now because of these tariffs. I just think this is America first at its finest. I say we go after the cheese next.
You know what? I think there's going to be a case of something arriving here very soon for you.
Trump wine, perhaps?
Yes.
Trump wine.
You know, Juan, I'm going to defend Macron. And I think that he was actually kind of saying what Trump wanted, which is like, we should have a European army. We should defend ourselves, right? Isn't he kind of agreeing with Trump in a way?
Oh, I thought Trump came back and said, you know, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't exist. And I think he was saying, you don't need an army, we're the army, but you should pay your dues to NATO. I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah. But I think Macron was kind of saying, well, maybe we should just build up a big European army, and I would think Trump would go, yeah, that's pretty good too, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, clearly, I'm just trying to guess at this point with Trump, but I do think that Trump was really upset that Macron took him on the nationalism.
Yeah.
When he was saying that nationalism is bad, and clearly Trump has said recently that he's a nationalist, and I think what Macron was saying, oh, nationalism means we don't care about the rest of it. We just care about us, and that this is not the way the world goes. And especially if you think back on the armistice and what it meant in terms of nationalism as fomenting World War I, that this would be a recipe for a new phase of disaster, not learning from history. And I think also, there are a lot of people, maybe not the Moroccan king, who are making fun of Trump for not marching down the Champs-Elysees, not going to the cemetery, no American going to Arlington National Cemetery, no American official this
Who cares what the Moroccan king
No,
thinks,
I care as an American that my American president and no White House officials celebrate veterans on Veterans Day. That's unbelievable. And imagine if Obama did that. If Obama did that, you would have apoplexy.
It's probably true, and I will take that point in stride, but I will say at least this president funds the military.
Oh,
unlike the last.
There you go.
Obama didn't even know the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. I mean, I was always offended by that. This isn't someone who was beloved by the troops. So I don't want to hear the comparisons between Trump and Obama, first of all. Second of all, this idea that somehow patriotism and nationalism are mutually exclusive, it actually doesn't make any sense. I know Emmanuel Macron felt like he was being incredibly profound when he said patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. Nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism. That is not true. And in fact, globalism, which you could argue is the opposite of nationalism, is very exclusive to patriotism. And those who are globalists tend to be apologists for their own countries, like President Obama. He was the epitome of globalism, and he went to other countries. He went to the Brandenburg Gate, and he apologized for the United States.
I think we live in a globalist economic world.
I love a free market economy. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, if you love capitalism, if you love global markets, I don't understand how you can then say, oh, we don't care about what's going on over there because we're just protecting what's going on here. And then you come into the idea that nationalism translates, especially white nationalism, as we're going to
all right, no. Wait. Now you're going in the because it's wrong.
I mean, nationalism is clearly that's code for Nazism.
Exclusion is not the shining city on the hill that attracts people from all over the world.
Okay, the point of there's a nationalism that seeks to invade other countries. That is not the United States.
No.
What he's putting America first, meaning let's get our stuff together. Jed, what are your thoughts on this whole thing that we're talking about? Take your pick.
Trump reminds me of my cat Scungili. And what used to happen with Scungili is that somebody would pull his tail and he'd look around, he'd get a little agitated, and then pull it again, get a little more action. Finally, the third time you pull his tail, he bites. He bites back. He hisses. That's what Trump does. This guy, Macron, was digging at him. He did that. You spoke before about the anti-nationalist speech. That was a dig. Then grouping the United States in with China and Russia as people who they might have to guard themselves against, that's a dig. And then somehow when Trump responds and says something even remotely a little bit outlandish or a little nasty, everybody blames Trump. If you poke over and over again, he's going to stand up for the country. He's going to bite back. People should learn that about Trump. I think that clip, by the way, of the Moroccan, the King of Morocco was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. As a former teacher who had many students fall asleep in their class, that's the best thing, and I count myself as the one of many Americans out there who are probably dying to see the reaction if he had opened his eyes.
Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush, like, that's low energy. I got low energy. That's low energy.
Low energy king.
And weren't you all waiting to see, though? If he had opened his eyes and you have Trump just staring at you like that,
he must have snorted in his sleep. He must have made a noise that we didn't catch.
You know, I think we're burying the lead here, Greg. I'm not so much worried about France standing up an army in the continent. They're 0 for 2 in the last century. You know, they haven't seen glory on the battlefield since Napoleon. It's actually Germany. They said they want the keys to the car of the European army. That didn't really go so well the last time. That's like giving the keys to the son that's wrecked your car twice and say, here you go again. She sounds a little bellicose, Merkel. I think we could see another land grab if they get another army over there in Germany.
A lot of what Macron's doing is what previous French leaders do. They come in with high approval ratings, right? But they can't get anything done because of the unions in France, so their approval ratings go...
Yeah, he's at 26%.
And so what you do is you choose the United States to slap around.
You know what was delicious
as a distraction.
about this? You know what's delicious? Trump, in response to your point, says Macron is simply engaged in distracting people because of his lower... I was like, oh, my God, oh, my God.
But
no self-awareness. No self-awareness.
Trump isn't...
He knows it when he sees it.
He knows it's a political ploy. What did you say, Kennedy?
At least he's reading the correct page from the playbook. You know, he knows exactly what Macron is doing.
Well, that's what I'm doing. But how come, how come Trump supporters never get this?
Oh, no, because I don't think Trump is never trying to distract you. He's just doing what he does.
No,
it's 2 years now.
He's changing the subject every time.
He's responding to what Macron did.
He changes the subject to what he's interested in. Sometimes we're not interested in it.
No.